Hello everyone, I'm Ashley Nasseri, and I want to give you my take on the evolution of magazine covers. All magazines experiment with their design and learn what sells, and magazines like Cosmopolitan, 17, Vogue, Time, GQ have pretty much converged to the same design. It involves a photo of a person, usually an attractive female or male, showing scandalous features of either their face or body. The text headlines are designed to get you to want to read what's inside. This formula works every time and really does sell their magazines. The breakdown of how the cover of a magazine comes to life is extremely important. First is the dateline, which is the month and year of publication, often with the price of the magazine. One thing you should know is that monthly magazines hit the newsstands the month before the cover date actually says it is. Then there's the main image. The image is usually used in a classic way, a big face, big enough to stand out in a newsstand. Next is the cover lines. Since the 1950s, greater competition on the newsstands resulted in more cover lines. Today, some magazines print special covers for subscribers with few cover lines. Cosmopolitan, on the other hand, uses a lot of cover lines, which are distributed around the main image without detracting from it too much. A mistake often made with cover lines is that they run over the image that has a lot of color changes, making the words too difficult to read. Then there's the issue called the left third. The left third of the magazine cover is vital for sales and shops where the magazine is not fully shown to its full potential. The title must stand out amongst dozens of other competitors. And finally, there's the selling line, which is a short, sharp description of the title's main marketing point. For example, Cosmopolitan claims it's the world's #1 magazine for young women today. Women's magazines represent the largest and most financially successful magazine category. Advertisers are fond of these publications because they target and segment the population that buys the most consumer products. Reaching much younger female demographics are magazines such as Cosmopolitan and 17. Cosmopolitan started out as a general interest magazine. However, when TV came along and spelled the demise of most general interest magazines, Cosmo had a new birth as a magazine for young women with an interest in men, sex, and personal success. Speaking of sex, that's a topic that's been a long staple for men's magazines throughout the years. In 1953, Hugh Hefner founded the magazine called Playboy. The first edition contained nude photos of Marilyn Monroe before she became something of a film star. Hefner didn't put a date on the magazine because he didn't know if there would ever be a second edition. However, it sold out as soon as it hit the newsstands. The very first issue of Playboy sold back in the day for only 50 cents. From the very start, Playboy was more than just about the beautiful women it featured in his magazines. Hugh Hefner took a progressive approach, not only to sexuality and humor, but also to literature, politics, and culture. If you notice around the models on the cover of their magazine, you will notice stories that are educational and informative in all types of fields. Brilliant magazine cover designs are a result of learning what ideas work and adding a twist to them. A design that works on a newspaper, customer magazine, or subscription magazine cover might not work on a newsstand, where hundreds of magazines compete for attention. However, even if you follow all the steps to make a perfect magazine cover, it doesn't guarantee that everyone will love it. Controversial magazines are a common issue, especially in the recent years. A magazine that recently went under fire was Rolling Stone's decision to put the Boston bomber on the cover. It was met with extreme criticism. The magazine was slammed from all sides for depicting a murderer in the same vein as they would a rock star. Many threatened to boycott the magazine for giving the individual a glamorized look. Boston Mayor Thomas Menino and some of the bombing victims called the cover insensitive. Many retailers opt to not sell the issue. Next is another Rolling Stones magazine that caused much controversy. It was Kanye West depicting himself as Jesus Christ. For the cover, Kanye wore thorns on his head and had blood dripping down his face. Of course, many Christians found the image horrific, Some felt that it even mocked Jesus Christ. Next was Beauty That Killed the Beast. One of the more recent covers to cause much controversy was the Vogue cover with basketball superstar LeBron James, who shares the April cover of the magazine with supermodel Gisele Bündchen. The controversy stems from the opinion that his screaming face and cradling of a blonde woman has racial overtones in its resemblance to the movie poster of King Kong, claiming that LeBron James is King Kong himself. Another controversial image that I wanted to discuss with you is from Times Magazine. This Times Magazine cover shows a woman breastfeeding her nearly 4-year-old son, which instantly went viral after the magazine came out on May 21, 2012. The cover sparked reactions from both parents and non-parents alike. While some wrote off the cover as no big deal, however, many critiques argued that the cover was just showing too much to please the eye. And finally, the last controversial image I wanted to discuss is also from Times Magazine. On April 8th of 1966, a cover story by Times Magazine entitled "Is God Dead?" is considered by many to be the most controversial cover photo of all time. The issue received thousands of letters and complaints to the editor than any other magazine in history. The #1 magazine in the market, which sells thousands of copies each year and even has a magazine related to specific countries, is Vogue. Vogue is a fashion magazine that is known worldwide for its cover photos and editorials. Vogue covers have transitioned from iconic fashion models on the covers to now being mainly actresses, singers, and other celebrities. Up until the early 2000s, Vogue featured mostly models on their covers. Among the most popular were Lauren Hutton, Kate Moss, Gisele Bündchen, and Karen Graham. Most of these names may not even be recognizable by young readers of Vogue today. More recent cover girls have been actresses such as Emma Stone, music icons like Beyoncé, Lady Gaga, Adele. Because most women fashion magazines have made the transition from model covers to celebrity covers, it's difficult to say who started it, or why. Perhaps because celebrities are more easily recognizable by the general public, they would increase the likelihood of people purchasing. Magazines are reaching younger and younger generations, and the younger they get, the more easily they are manipulated. Many say that only a few teens suffer from the influence and effects magazines have on them, and that it won't reach younger generations. The truth is, majority of teens have image problems, eating disorders, self-esteem issues, and depression because they don't meet the ideal perfection magazines say they should be. Thousands of teens are having negative effects from reading magazines. Teens see those beautiful, flawless men and women on magazines. Some might even be their age, and they want to look just like them. Some teens go to the extreme and do whatever it takes. With all the workout tips and how to stay slim articles, the pressure is even higher. So, for those people who think magazines don't have big impacts on teens, read the statistics, ask teens, pick up a magazine, and see for yourself. Every 20 minutes, 20% of teens are reading and getting influenced by a magazine. It may not be 100%, but that's over half of all teens that are being influenced by magazines. That means within 1 hour, 60% of teens have been influenced in some way by a magazine. The teens that are influenced may not show any signs that they're having negative effects from magazines, or it's even affecting them at all. Majority of teens all around the world have one thing in common: the influence and effects magazines have on them. Another serious issue magazines and magazine covers have on the general public is photo manipulation, making you not sure if what you are really looking at on a magazine is 100% accurate. Photo manipulation. Once a small number of airbrushed-equipped artists have now become commonplace in the fashion, publishing, and advertising industries thanks to the introduction of photo editing software such as Photoshop. This program, first introduced in the 1990s, has become so widely used that photoshopping is often used as a synonym for photo manipulation. As a result, heavily touched photos of men as well as women have become nearly universal. One single issue of Vogue was found to contain 144 manipulated images, including the front cover. That means almost every single image within the magazine was touched up. As photo manipulation tools have become more widely available and easier to use, the youth have begun turning to them to modify their own pictures to meet media-credited ideals of thinness and perfection. Retouching photos in this way raises a number of concerns. One is that you're already exposed to unrealistic bodies that are made literally impossible to have. Models frequently have collarbones, ribs, and even their hips erased to make them look thinner, guaranteeing that even those who meet media standards of attractiveness will still be left feeling inadequate. Excessive photoshopping and retouching makes it virtually unimaginable for women and men to feel beautiful, or even good about the way they look when comparing themselves to models. Even the models themselves don't look the same when in magazines. A friend of mine, who I'll keep anonymous, is a photo retoucher professionally, and he told me that every man and woman should know that the last image they've seen is probably 100% retouched in some way or form. So the next time you see a magazine, billboard, or really any form of advertising, what you're seeing might not be the complete truth. It's a scary thought, but it's this world's new reality. Today, I have the greatest privilege to be sitting here next to Katie Dominiches, who is the Vice President of Sales for the beauty company Arbonne.
Hi, yes, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. I personally wanted to sit down with you and get your professional opinion on the effect magazines have on the general public and how Arbonne promotes their products and lifestyle in such a positive way that many magazines today don't do.
Yes, well, the way I look at it, many magazines today are really only thinking about how much money they are bringing in. I'm not saying Arbonne isn't thinking about that, especially me who is head of sales, but there should be so much more thought into what information in magazines is being put out.
So how does Arbonne personally separate themselves? Not just as like a beauty company, but when it comes to your monthly beauty magazines that go out to customers. How do you compete with, Sephora, Ulta, other major beauty companies, and even their own monthly magazines?
It's extremely hard to separate ourselves from companies such as those, especially because stores like Sephora or Ulta have already such a loyal customer base. Us here at Arbonne are still such a small company that we find little ways to make us different. Like, we don't just sell makeup, we also have nutritional products that will help you heal your mind and body.
In what ways?
For over 35 years, Arbonne has been all about product integrity. From the beginning, we developed products by combining the best of what nature has to offer.
I'm curious to know, since you are the head of sales for Arbonne, what strategy do you take when it comes to magazine advertising?
Every year, Arbonne saves quite a bit of money by refusing to pay for advertising. The only way to find out about Arbonne is really through word of mouth, and it can only be purchased through independent consultants. All of the money Arbonne saves goes right back into research and development. That is why our products are better than anything else on the market.
Well, recently I've seen an advertisement for Arbonne in none other than Vogue magazine. Is that right?
Yes, you are right. Arbonne was advertised in Vogue recently. However, the advertisement we do not pay for. Vogue wrote about us because many celebrities have been using our products and loving them so much that they can't stop talking about them.
Well, I want to thank you for letting me ask you a few questions today about your take on magazines and your company Arbonne.
Of course, anytime. Thank you for having me.
Some have predicted the death of magazines, just like they predicted the death of newspapers back in the 90s. But neither newspapers died, and neither will magazines. There'll still be printed magazines, no matter how popular online editions are. Yes, the numbers will drop, but will never fully die. Magazines shape our lives, telling us what to wear, what to eat, what to think about ourselves and the world around us. Although this is the age of the internet, we still continue to enjoy magazines, admire their pages, editorials, headlines. Magazines have been around for years, and will be for many more. I want to give another special thank you to Katie Dominiches, Vice President of Sales for Arbonne, for sitting down with me and letting me interview you. Also, I want to give another thank you to all of you listening. Thanks.